Chapter 7 The Talkative Tortoise. To his next incarnation, Bodhisattva took birth in a family of ministers. On attaining manhood, he found himself appointed as advisor to King Brahmadut of Varanasi. The king was a very talkative person who could talk endlessly. Bodhisattva, as his advisor, wanted to warn him that too much talking is harmful and could land him in trouble, but did not know how to convey it to the king. Day and night, Bodhisattva thought of a plan to warn the king, but could not come up with anything suitable. At the same time, there lived a tortoise in a lake at the base of the Himalayas. This tortoise loved to jabber non-stop like the king. Whenever the other animals saw the tortoise approaching, they would promptly run for their lives. A number of his friends advised him not to talk too much, but he refused to listen to them. As was his habit, the tortoise would stop any animal passing by and talk to him. He stopped a hare scampering in search of green grass and talked to him for hours, as a result of which the poor hare had to return home without food. The tortoise would often stop a deer and tell him all the jungle gossips. Once he even stopped a lion in his tracks. When the lion angrily growled at the tortoise, the latter quickly rushed to the safety of nearby bushes. All this, however, did not deter him from giving up his habit of talking to one and all. Once he struck up a friendship with two beautiful swans that used to visit the lake in which he lived. So he asked the swans if they could find a place better than the lake, as he was quite fed up with the lake and wanted to shift to a new place. The swans told him that in the Hamwanta region stood the Chitrakut mountain, at whose base lay a cave known as the Golden Cave. In front of the cave was a lake that contained sweet water. It was a beautiful place to live in. Tempted at the description of the cave, the tortoise began to pester the swans to take him to the lake. The swans, worried at this request, did not know how to transport the tortoise to such a distant site. They pondered over the matter and ultimately found a way out. They told the tortoise to keep his mouth shut and not open it even once while they carried him to the Golden Cave. The tortoise willingly agreed, but not before saying all that which lay pent up inside him. The swans brought a stick with them, asking the tortoise to clasp it in his mouth at the center. As soon as the tortoise did so, the swans with the two ends of the stick in their beaks lifted him up and began to fly upwards in the sky. The tortoise was thrilled to be carried like this in the sky, as he had never flown before. While flying over the city of Varanasi, some young boys saw the tortoise being carried by the swans. They began to clap and say, "Just see, the swans are flying with the tortoise." On hearing this talk, the tortoise became livid. He decided to tell them to mind their own business and keep quiet. Without thinking twice, he opened his mouth wide while held aloft on the stick high in the sky. Immediately, he lost grip on the stick and went hurtling down to land with a hard thud in the courtyard of the king's palace. Bodhisattva, as advisor to the king, witnessed this incident and immediately realized its significance. He found it a good example to teach the king a lesson and prevent him from talking more than was necessary. He went to the king's court and narrated the entire incident. The king realized his mistake and decided to speak only when required.